Hi, everyone. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm George, and you're listening to the Box Officers Podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. Please make sure you leave a star rating and review wherever you're listening to this episode. Watching a bad movie is like witnessing a serious crime. But have no fear, the box officers are here. Each episode, Kelsey, me, and JPatt will review a new movie, and at the end of each episode, we will classify the film according to the severity of the punishment.
Yes, so films can be convicted of a felony, a misdemeanor, an infraction, or on the rare occasion, found innocent. So this week, we are going to be reviewing The Smashing Machine. So if you haven't seen it yet, you could technically, I guess, stick around because this is based on a real story. Go read about it. But otherwise, we're going to spoil it. So let's get into the episode. First of all, I love The Rock.
Yes.
And I was so excited. I feel like, though, I was a little skeptical because I was thinking, like, I know The Rock in, like, The Tooth Fairy or, like, Jumanji or that movie with Kevin Hart. Like, he's a funny guy. And so this was going to be serious. Like, you needed to do your big one. So I felt, like, a little nervous going into it, if that makes sense.
That's fair. I also was like, I'm a Rock fan. I know a lot of people say they don't like his acting and like things like that, but I like him. You know, I mean, I think he's attractive, so there's that. But yeah, I was interested to see what he had to do, and it was 8/24, so you know, I knew the plot was going to be really interesting. So I was open to whatever, honestly.
Yeah, I will say we love A24 movies, you know. So I trusted the production company to, and I was excited. I will also say, are you a fan of any of the work from the Safdie brothers?
I love Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
That was a great movie, honestly.
Yeah.
And there was another one, but I didn't watch that one. But I love Uncut Gems, so I am a big fan.
Did you see Good Time with Robert Pattinson?
I did not, but I did see the scenes where he's wearing like the huge joggers and stuff. I think, is that movie?
Yeah.
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 I saw that. Yeah.
It was really good, but that's them also. And
yeah. So they have really grungy, grimy aesthetic.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, they split because, you know, they would do all of this together and they just split very recently within the past few years. And so this is kind of like Benny's project, Benny Safdie. So, you know, people were sad. And then, you know, Josh Safdie, he has, what is it, Marty Supreme coming out later this year. So it's kind of like both of them are debuting solo.
Yeah.
You know,
breaking up
this year. Yeah, so but I had high expectations based on all of that. Also, Emily Blunt. What do you think about her?
In the movie, or more so like as an actor?
In general. Yeah.
General. I like the stuff she plays in. I'm not particularly like, oh, that's my girl Emily, but you know, she can do her thing. You know,
yeah, I like her. I thought she really did well in A Quiet Place, obviously, and I thought it was really cute that it was like her and her husband, you know, doing it together. I love when married people work together, but I trust her. I've seen her act, and I said, I know that she can act for real. This was some of her best work, in my opinion, but I actually am not an MMA girl. Like, I'm not a UFC girl. I went through a phase once because of somebody that I was, like, kind of dating, and I thought, oh, I should try to be interested because I like it, but it wasn't genuine. I didn't care. It's not even that I don't care, actually. I take that back. Don't fight me. I just don't like seeing people get beat up. Like, it's hard. You're hurting them, and I can tell. Like, it makes me uncomfortable. So I didn't know how much of that we were going to see going into this movie either, you know?
I like it, honestly. I really like watching the theatrics of it. And they're always such good-looking men, too, like Polynesian men. So I was like, I just be like, dang, like, They're like real specimens. So I be watching it for that, to be honest. Roman Reigns, like who else?
Please. So you're actually into like you're really
I,
like yeah, this is your
I watch
jam
the
for
edits
sure.
on TikTok, and that's
No
literally
way.
how I know. Like literally, it's literally not because of the sport. It's just them and them doing
Yeah.
stuff. So I was like,
Beautiful people.
yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, I feel like The Rock was perfect for this because like honestly,
Hmm.
I mean, I heard people say that like he was too old to be casted for this, but I felt like it wasn't distracting. Like it's because you're
No,
telling me
yeah.
that he's supposed to be like younger, then okay. But like if like somebody like me who didn't watch the documentary beforehand just came and watched the movie, like I really didn't see it as a problem, honestly.
Yeah, same. And I thought that the prosthetics were like well done because at first I was looking and I was like, I know that's The Rock, but something looks off, and I was like, is it? Am I tripping or are there actual prosthetics? I looked it up afterwards, and they did do like a lot of small prosthetics to like make him look more like the actual Mark Kerr, which I thought was really smart.
Yeah.
It was like so micro. I was like, that's The Rock, but something I don't know.
Yeah, because I feel like in autobiographical movies, like I really don't think that the person has to be like look like a twin of the person they're
No.
playing. I think they just need to embody the essence of them, and it's less
Right.
about looking like a photo like copy. Like I don't really think that's meaningful, honestly, because like we weren't there to see them. So it's like I don't know. You just need to like sort of like the Malcolm X movie. Like I feel like Denzel Washington did not look like Malcolm X at all.
He doesn't. Yeah, no.
Yeah, so but like you like that's what I think of when I think of Malcolm X. I like also think of him because he just really embodied his aura, and I kind of feel
Mhm.
like Dwayne The Rock did too in this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Which is why I was really happy for him because I know that this was kind of like serious. Like, if you didn't do, if he had one opportunity to eat, because we've had The Rock around for a while, and it's like, okay, if you're gonna transition into that like drama space, you're gonna have to do your big one now, or we're not gonna trust you. So I think he definitely did his homework. Also, I thought it was really cool that, so, okay, pause on like the movie aspect of it. Just the story of Mark Kerr. This was interesting. Again, I was not familiar with his work, but I really liked how they kind of, and I'm not into this stuff, and I don't want to sit and watch 2.5 hours of people wrestling. So I'm glad that there was that other component where they talked about his relationship or his struggles with addiction. And that was really interesting. However, I've never seen anybody fight addiction like that. I actually don't know if I've seen people, like, I've known people to fight addiction. They probably are, and I just don't know. But, like,
Yeah,
that just seemed like the
silent
easiest
killer.
fight against addiction I've ever seen. If
Like he
that is
went
actually
into
how it went,
the rehab and came out like perfectly
literally
fine. Takes
healed,
20 days,
and I
guys.
right, and I'm like, okay, rehab is there because it does help people and it does work, but I just would think it would be so much more. And he just seemed, there was a scene where he literally goes and throws the drugs away, just like he doesn't even hesitate. He just grabs them, throws it away, and then later in the movie he's helping out his coach, Boss Rutten, who is playing, I guess, himself.
Yes, yes.
And he literally goes to help him with the same drugs. They've been hidden here the whole time. And he's like, don't worry, I'm not using. And helps him out immediately and then throws him away again. And it's like, no, you either have the most resilience that this world has ever seen, or this was a poor representation of like what that struggle looks like. Maybe they didn't go in depth enough for the sake of time. But I was like,
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody decide to quit opioids like from like willpower.
Yeah,
I actually
just the
am not
strength
addicted
of it.
anymore.
No,
Yeah,
I
you
think
know
they
what?
just didn't want to explore it. I think they didn't want to focus on that too much, and they wanted to give like overarching like a skeleton of what his life like. Because I was like I'm thinking they didn't want to give like a typical montage of someone that goes through addiction. Like I don't think they wanted to run that machine. Because like we already know,
Okay.
like even though they didn't show us, like we actually know. Like I think showing us would just be like, okay, we see Mark Kerr going through addiction, but it's like we don't technically need to see him actually doing to know what addiction looks like, because like we're all
Yeah.
humans, we kind of know like what happens. So it's kind of
Yeah.
weird that they did cut it out and like okay, but it's like we kind of we knew what he was finna do. Finna have withdrawals, go through the drugs again, look strung out, and then keep the cycle going for a couple, however, in the like indefinite amount of
Yeah.
time before he gets better. So I guess they just didn't want to show that for the sake of time. Maybe just for the plot, they didn't want to like focus on it too. So I think it was like a choice. I don't know if it was a good choice, but it's like I could go without seeing it. Like I didn't need to see that.
It's interesting for sure because, like you said, we do see these things. A lot of movies do go through all of that, and so it was like you said, we know probably what some of that looked like. I just thought the timeline was a bit suspicious. I was impressed, really. I thought he should. You're in the wrong career, buddy. Like you need to run a program because that was insane.
He said it takes 21
And
days to break a habit.
say throughout the whole movie, he's extremely disciplined in the sense that I'm sure it takes a lot of discipline to be like an MMA fighter. So like I'm not saying that he doesn't have that, but well, so here's the thing though. I did have to look it up after the movie, and he did relapse. I think now he's been clean for about 7 years, so that's great.
Okay. Yeah, that's realistic.
But I think that makes, I was gonna say that seems more honest, I guess. And I was confused because at the end, after that big fight, they're stitching him up, and they do drug him to or medicate him to stitch him up. And I'm thinking, is somebody gonna tell these people that this man is like an addict, and you're giving him opioids? Like that's. And so I was curious on that too, but I think it's another thing, like you said, where it was a choice to not expand on it so that I can go home and think about such things like, oh, I wonder what happens. And that's a very real thing that happens. A lot of these people are just people who are trying to, their doctors are prescribing them this thing and it gets out of hand. So I think that's kind of like, it makes sense. He's a fighter. Like, what are you going to do? Start like stitching him up with nothing? Like, that's just not realistic. Yeah, so it was unfortunate, but the movie kind of flips between two things. I don't know how you feel about it, like the pacing of it, but it flips between the fighting and the relationship slash like addiction, and then it goes back to another fight, and then it goes back to the relationship. We don't get anything outside of that.
How do I feel about it? It kept like, if you have ADHD, it's good. But at the same time, like, I feel like it never really went into anything particularly in depth. Like, that, like, it just, like, kind of touched the surface of everything.
Yeah.
Or those things, basically. Like, I don't really think that, like, looking back, I could say, like, wow, I really got a thorough, like, run through of his emotional life and that relationship he had with the girl who played, or Emily Blunt played. Or, like, we don't really get in-depth, like, background of his fighting career. Like, we're just kind of dropped in the middle of it. Or like the tail end of it too. And it's like, we don't really get in depth about the ins and outs of the UFC and MMA. Like, I don't know, like, it's just like, we just kind of get a little drop of everything, which maybe there's going to be a part 2, but at the same time, it's like, okay, but what did we get from this by itself?
Yeah, you made a good point there. There is a thing at the beginning that says something like, this is spanning the years of 1997 or whatever through 2000. I think we got maybe 100 seconds of those first 2 years. Like they skipped past all of this. And my understanding was that this was supposed to tell the story of like how he influenced the sport. I got more from Googling afterwards as opposed to the movie. Like you said, it didn't give us like I hate to say it, but this felt like y'all are trying to tell me about like one specific fight in his whole like career, which again, that was like an impactful time for him for sure. But I think there was a way, if you're gonna have a 2-hour long movie, tell me how he like pioneered UFC. You just told me that this is the guy that can fight, and to believe you. People have been joking online, like it kept saying his name is Mark Kerr, like that's the statement they're trying to make, and it's like, okay, but like, tell me about Mark Kerr. Let me know what he did. It felt harsh, but because in a way, like that's important too. There's all these people who pioneered this sport, and we don't know their names, and so it is important to just get his name out there. But I think their point is like, why are you telling me his name if you're not going to tell me like what that had to do with UFC? And a lot of it focused on pride and things going on over there, but like it helped me understand its relevancy in the sport. I think it's just supposed to be understood that, like, of course, I guess at the time, and again, this is not something I fully understood, but UFC was just like not even being shown in all of the states, like the United States, and so he's really early into this. So I get it, but I would have loved to see how that fleshed out. Like, what conversation did someone have, like, I don't know, at whatever network, and they said, oh, look at this guy fighting, like, we need to get that out there on the American televisions or something, pay-per-view, whatever, I don't know, that kind of side of it. Because it just seemed like he was a great fighter, and even then, you kind of only showed us, like, fights he was losing, so it's kind of confusing.
Yeah, I think there
I
definitely
don't
needs to be
know.
some more background or like more focus. Like if y'all
Yeah.
wanted focus on his like his life and rather than like his life in the ring, we can do that. But like we didn't get anything of either. Like I feel like his girlfriend, like that relationship was like super toxic. But like, why was it so toxic? Like, did we ever get an explanation for that? Like, is it just
They said,
assumed that like, oh, they're just toxic people? Like, I don't know. I feel like we didn't get like why it happened, when it happened, how it happened, and yeah, like I feel like it was lacking substance in some parts.
yeah.
Like they were like, here, you already know how this goes. That's kind of what
Yeah.
some of it gave, honestly.
On every front. And I was
Yeah,
like, I think
like
this would have, I don't know, maybe if I already knew about all of this stuff ahead of time,
yeah.
but I didn't. I was looking to learn, and I didn't really learn anything. I was entertained, but I didn't walk away informed, which I kind of wanted to. Speaking of the relationship, I went to see this with my mom and my sister, and at one point my mom literally yelled like, shut up, to Emily Blunt's character. I don't remember.
Somebody say
Hello.
something about smashing. Hey, that's how
How long
it,
did it take you to think of that,
it was
JPatt?
terrible. No,
Surprise! JPatt's here. So yeah, we're just about to talk about the
okay.
relationship between Mark and Dawn. Yeah, that was very toxic. Somebody said they felt
No.
like they were watching a marriage story and not like a wrestling movie, because like it was actually a lot going on, and I
Yeah.
got sick of her very quickly. Though he is obviously not blameless, because I'm sure it is very hard to date
Yeah.
an addict. She's a silly girl. He came back from rehab and she's drinking in front of him, popping pills in front of him, and he's like, hey, like, that's really difficult for me to see. And she's like, it's not like I'm doing it in
Hmm.
front of you. You are quite literally doing it in his kitchen. Like,
Yeah.
let's.
She was moving very crazy that
It
whole
was
movie.
insane. And then she got mad at him. She's like, you're not any fun anymore. Oh, I I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
don't, I'm not an addict. Like, what? And I
I'm
feel
not
like,
addicted.
yeah. And then she was like, well, and it was really interesting because I think there was a part where she was saying, like, she felt like he used to need her and she
Yeah.
misses that. And now he doesn't need her anymore. And I was like, okay, you don't know what you want, because when he was addicted, you were like, I don't know who you are anymore. You need to stop this. You promised me it was the last time. He finally stops. And you're like, well, you don't need me anymore. You're just leaving me on the back burner. This man is going across the world to fight and win money to pay for the house that you're living in. Why can't you let him focus? Like, I'm not
Hmm.
understanding. I didn't understand any of the stuff that she did. I'm not saying he's blameless, but there was a
Yeah.
point in the movie where he seemed to have like genuinely changed, and I don't know why she wasn't happy, because this is what she was begging for the whole time.
Yeah. And I feel like in a lot of those situations that were shown in the movie, like there were like points where the argument or whatever could have been de-escalated, but then she just teed it up. She really hyped it up to the max and made it even worse. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dang, like I guess that's how like their marriage actually was. But at that like it that you guys already go over like how things got at the end, when it came to her like grabbing the gun and everything, and
No.
No.
yeah, that took me off guard. It was like a sharp turn, and I didn't think things were gonna get that crazy
Yeah.
in the movie. Yeah.
Same. You got to give it to Emily Blunt, though. She played that part so well. I forgot that was her for a majority of the movie. And
Yeah.
so talented. I love talented people. I love when people are good at their jobs. So she's just like a gem, really. Love her so much, and she did a great job. But yeah, she was tweaking. I'm not gonna lie. I was really confused, and nothing that character did make sense to me. There was not a single decision made that makes sense to me. Cause why are we? And then he takes the gun. She runs into the bathroom to overdose.
Yeah, it's overdose off pills. Yeah,
Like,
she
you
was
need
very
help.
crazy.
And I have
Yeah.
never been prouder of a person or a character in a movie than when that man called the police on her. Because I was like, he finna stay and miss his tournament or whatever it's called, the match, the fight, so that he can be here with this girl. I was gonna be so mad. He said, nope, now you're going to rehab.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, I like the fact that he tried to like send her home, or I guess to her parents, and
Yeah.
there
He
wasn't
still cared
even
for
more
her.
like roid rage. Yeah, there wasn't like any more like roid rage,
Hmm.
after that. He didn't try to hit her or anything. He busted down a few doors, which can be said that's like abusive in a way, maybe like emotionally abusive,
Yeah.
but
Especially because of who he is. This man is an
yeah,
MMA fighter, and you get mad and you break a door in the house. I'm obviously gonna think you're gonna kill me now.
yeah,
That
yeah,
would mess
That is
with
terrifying.
That would mess with it. I was scared for her. I said, "Oh, he finna kill her." Nobody told me that's what this movie was about because that's terrifying. So I understood her like emotions towards the beginning of the movie. I said that's a really dangerous situation for her to be in, and this man, he could. It
hmm
would take 2 seconds. I'm so sorry. So I was like, that's terrifying. But towards the end, I was like, she's also terrifying. And I was just really glad because I thought that he had broke up with her. He basically said, "No, you're not coming on this trip with me. You're gonna stay here." And then
yeah,
at the end, the movie ends and it's just him in the shower. But I looked it up. He married her in
Yeah.
real life, like after that. And then they had a kid. Mind you, one of the
yep,
whole things was her saying she wants a kid, and he's like, no. Has the kid, and
yeah.
then they divorce after a few years.
They're like 4 years they divorced. But I mean, honestly, with the way their relationship was, I feel like that was expected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Like
don't
Like,
know
I'm
for
actually
what he
him,
did
surprised
to
it
her.
lasts so long.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that
JPatt is like,
that was
what?
a that
Codependency.
that added like so much. Now it did make the movie more interesting. Honestly,
Yeah.
it added a lot more depth to it, and I remember like the whole theater like gasping as soon as she pulled that gun out and was like about to like had it at her head. Like everybody was like it was a sharp like right turn. Like everybody was like, wow, like where did that come from?
Yeah.
But I guess it's realistic. And I mean, we saw how things ended for him at the end of the movie, but we didn't really see a conclusion to her besides her getting into the police car. Did you guys feel any type of way about that? Like they were like kind of like loose ends or no?
I was tired of seeing her, so I was glad she didn't come back.
She was
I was
gone.
actually,
Yeah.
by the time she got in the police car, I was actually like, I'm losing myself in the movie because I'm getting annoyed. You're doing
Yeah,
way
yeah,
too
yeah.
much. So I was ready for her to be gotten rid of, but I felt loose ends in terms of I wanted to know. I guess I interpreted the end as like he's happy to
hmm
do the sport regardless of winning or losing, and so that's like the takeaway I guess we're supposed to get. But I
Yeah.
would have
Yeah.
loved to see him interact with his friend or something, or him. I don't know, like
Yeah.
a
Life outside
flash
of
forward or
everything
something.
that's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what happens when he goes home. It just felt like it was this big climb up to him fighting his friend. It didn't happen, and so the movie just ended. And so I guess
Exactly.
I didn't
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. I thought that was gonna happen, but unfortunately, I mean, like, cause he was put in the same position that he was when the movie started. Like the whole, he had his head down, he can't get up. So I was thinking, okay, this time he's gonna be able to like get out of it, and then he loses in that same way again. So it's kind of like I don't know, it like edged me, and then it just didn't happen. And I'm like, oh, it's not
Yeah,
as, I guess, not as poetic. It didn't have, uh,
right.
yeah, but
But
during the
that's real.
yeah, but The Rock though he did amazing. Like I can have my complaints about the movie, but put him and his acting like in another movie, like it would have been flawless. But I feel like his acting was flawless, but the movie wasn't flawless to me, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
plot
That's my
and
opinion.
like
Yeah,
the script and stuff. Yeah, that's fair. It's just
yeah.
missing a little substance. I think that's the issue.
yeah, for sure. We have not talked about the character, or these are not characters; these are real people. But Mark Coleman, so played by
Yeah.
Ryan Bader, another actual like fighter, which I thought was really cool of them to have like real people. And they did that in a few other like casting decisions as well, but I think that he did great. And I loved the acting, but I loved the character. It was just I need that relief in a movie. I need somebody to make sense to me. And he always made sense to me. He cared about his
Yeah.
family, he cared about his friends, he worked hard at his
You're like, I'd
job.
rather watch
He
you.
was like, it was like
I
the reasoning. Like, he was like the most
I
reasonable character.
I hate to say it, but was there an opportunity for us to get a movie called The Hammer? That was his thing, right? Who?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Why does everything have to be like? I don't know. I thought this was a good story, but we should add a story about
Yeah.
Mark Coleman. That was a
I mean,
really good story in itself.
the movie was damn near about him, low key.
It
It was kind of like a little bit of both of
kinda,
them, but he definitely had the
yeah.
more favorable outcome, or you know
And
what
that
I'm
was a
saying.
lie, by the way. Did y'all know that?
What do you mean?
In real life, that in like bracket, it didn't play out that way. So
Oh, really?
apparently Mark Coleman lost earlier on. So he did not outlast Mark Kerr. So Mark Kerr actually made it to
Oh,
the final round or whatever, like the end, and he lost the final thing.
oh,
So
okay.
I don't know what good it did the movie to switch that
Yeah.
around. Either way, he loses. So why would you even do it
They're
that way?
trying
I
to
don't
make
know
it
if
like
they wanted
a
it.
so climactic, like it's your friend and you lost your opportunity again. It's fair. I understand why they did that. Because if they didn't do it like that, then I guess like we'd be like, okay, like what's in it for us if you win?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I did not know that
But
though.
he was gonna lose. I mean, he lost either way. I think it would have been a thing where we assume that he's gonna win in the end, and it's like all this work you put in pays off over time, and then it doesn't. I think it still would have hit pretty hard. But I get what you're saying in that, like, and maybe in a way it hit harder because he didn't even stand a chance in the way they played it out in the movie. Because in real life, he did.
Yeah.
He,
Mhm.
for lack of
That's what I'm
better words, got
saying.
second place.
He
So
lost the
it's like
opportunity
that
and
was
what it could have been.
like you didn't even yeah, they smashed that dream early, so maybe that's part of it, part of the humbling experience, part of what you learn.
Mhm.
I mean, and then again, like there were changes to the plot, but in general, like I can only criticize the plot so much because it's a biopic. So it's like y'all didn't come up with any of this. This is like you're telling me a story. But I can criticize the way that you tell that story, and I think that's what we're here to do. So who would like to go first? I need to know, and don't hold back. And I want to say that I love Mark Kerr as a person. Like I thought that it was really cool that he was in the movie at the end. I'm not hating on him as a person. I would like to criticize the film though. Sorry.
First,
Like to criticize it? Yeah, go ahead, George.
it's a misdemeanor to me. Okay, like it gave a little
Oh, for
gritty
misdemeanor?
movie. Yeah, it was a gritty movie. Like it didn't, and honestly, it didn't present itself like something it wasn't. Like I think we have to be honest with that. It's not like you went into the movie
Mhm.
expecting it to be like this, that, and the third, and then you just kind of came out like, wow, like I'm disappointed. It's like I actually expected that. I actually think I just wanted more from it. Like I feel like they could have gave more, but I'm not mad at anything they did because it's like I know what I was going in for, and honestly, for what it was, I think they did okay. I think they could have expanded on stuff more. I think that's like my only critique, honestly.
That's fair. That's
JPatt.
kind of like exactly how I feel. I'd give it an infraction because to me, if I were to give it a rating, it was like a 7 out of 10. I loved The Rock's performance, especially after all the controversy that he's been through. You know, you play the same character every time, or this, that, and the
Yeah.
other, or you don't have any like they say he doesn't have range, but I mean, he obviously showed in this that he does have range. But as for the plot of the movie, or I guess how it was conducted, then I can just be like, okay, there's some things that needed to be improved there. There were some scenes that I loved. Like, I definitely loved the scene. It was like a training montage. And what's that song? It's a song by Frank Sinatra. My Way. Yeah, it was that song, and it was playing while Mark Kerr was going through his training before, his final big fight in Japan. And there are clips of him training with the old guy and in the gym and all of that. And I really liked I really liked that part of the movie, and I saw a lot of other people say that they really liked that part as well. The drama between their relationship, it was crazy, but at the same time, it was like entertaining in a way. Like it was like, oh wow, like, it seems like you're like sitting in somebody's household of like a real marriage, kind of like seeing stuff go down. I could see that happening in real life. Like it was recorded. It didn't feel like it was dramatized for movie's sake, but I'm pretty sure stuff like that happens all the time, like exactly like that. So I did like that. Dawn's character, she played her character very well. Her character was very, crazy, very out of pocket when it came to their relationship. But overall, I'd have to give it an infraction. There are some things that it just missed for me, but that's on the director's part. I really went to go see the movie just to see how The Rock performed and to just feel that, feel the vibe that the movie gave because, it's about this pro fighter and stuff. I wanted to see some fighting. I wanted to see some, buff guy stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just, and I did like the setting as well. I liked how it was set in Japan and the time it took place in. It was like what, late 90s, early 2000s. I liked that aesthetic as well. But overall, the movie, it has a lot of good in it, but at the same time, I wouldn't call it like movie of the year. I wouldn't, because I feel like people hyped it up a bit, especially with that standing ovation that The Rock had a couple weeks ago, or no, months ago. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about?
I'll speak. I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. No comment.
Wow.
Look,
Wait, wait.
I think he deserved a standing ovation, but I mean, it was
No,
like
no, no.
what, 15 minutes long, right?
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
long standing ovation. But I love The Rock, so I can't
yeah.
speak on that.
Nah, that's what I'm saying. I think he deserved it. The movie, though, I don't think the movie deserved 15 minutes of a standing ovation. But The Rock, in my opinion,
15 minutes is
definitely did. He'll
insane.
always be one of my favorite actors. Yeah,
15
like
minutes is insane.
clapping for
Yeah,
15
standing up
minutes.
for
Like you would have
15
thought that
minutes is
you would have thought they put
like
some like
seals.
put some, yeah, you would have thought they put some crack in this movie. But there are parts that were just kind of like bland, flat, parts that just dragged a bit. It felt like I was watching, I don't know, somebody's YouTube video of them like, here's how I make my smoothie and you know what I'm saying? Just kind of like a vlog. That's what it felt like. There are parts of the movie that felt like it was a vlog. And I'm like, okay, can we get to the good stuff? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's how I feel. The Rock did great. The movie was okay. And I give it a infraction, 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I would say that um, some of the filming did give that, and I know
Hmm.
they shot a lot on 16 millimeter film.
Mm.
So that's interesting. I liked how it looked as well,
Yeah.
but I would not. I don't know. I don't know if I liked the camera choreography at all moments, but I liked visually, I guess, some of that graininess that you get at times. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people didn't like that. You mentioned the song "My Way." A lot of people I saw did not like that, which I think they're wrong. That
Yeah.
seemed
Come
like
on now.
a. I'm not. I don't understand that complaint, but they
It is
didn't like
complaining.
the sound or
Damn,
the
Jay.
music choices for a lot of it, which
It is
I mean,
complaining. That's just yeah.
that one was weird. It was another song in there too at one point, and a lot of people were like, "That was weird," and I'm like, I don't know. I thought it was different. But
Hmm.
anyways, acting they ate. I don't have a single complaint on the acting, and I do complain about acting a lot, and I don't have a complaint. I thought he did a great job. I thought everybody did a great job. I thought all the fighters that were here, as actors, did a great job. And I think the story of Mark Kerr is a really good one, and I think it's deserving
Hmm.
of a biopic. I do wish they had told more of his story. I think with
Yeah.
them focusing on the fights, and Georgette and I were saying this earlier, this was supposed to span a few years. They really focused on like a year and a half. And even then, you only talked about, him, you would show him doing a fight, and then you would show him arguing with his wife or his girlfriend, and then a fight,
Hmm.
and then arguing with his girlfriend. That back and forth was so repetitive that at a certain point, I thought, this could probably be cut by like 20 minutes, 30 minutes if we. I got the point. I get it. It's a toxic relationship. He's struggling with addiction and he can fight. Like, give me more. And I think
Yeah.
I would have liked to see, like,
She said he can fight.
them really get into the meat. Like he can fight, period. And I think there is I don't know, an opportunity to get into the meat of at least one of those things you had to go deep into. They balanced it so much. It's like, let's say you had gave me 70% going into the story of like how he impacted UFC forever and gave me 30% of a marriage story. That would have been okay, but because you try to give me 50-50, you can only go so deep at 50% attention to
Yeah,
everything, you know? And I felt like
yeah,
they were trying to put their hands too much focus on everything so that nothing really hit home, you know, in the way
yeah,
that it probably could have if the other things were more of subplots. And I can tell they were supposed to be subplots, but you're giving them so much attention, it makes me think it should have been a main plot, but you're not
yeah.
giving me enough context for it to be a main plot. And so it just feels like there's a lot of emptiness. And then I can tell there's like a great story there, but it feels hollow
Hmm.
at times. Like you're just giving me spark notes of his life and spark notes of
Yeah.
his impact. I would have loved to see, like, you know, those defining moments.
In the movie, they were saying that, he was unbeatable for a while, right? Until he got to
Yeah.
those finals, like the championships. I would have liked to see more fights, kind of like why is he called the Smashing Machine? You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah,
saw some,
that's what we were saying earlier.
yeah. Like in my opinion, I was going
Yeah.
into the movie thinking I was going to watch him come from where he was to the top, and then if he wins or loses, that'll kind of be the like the meaning of the movie. Because I mean, of course he lost, but it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, I lost, but I have so much love for this sport, like I don't care. And that's what you saw in the last scene. He's kind of
Yeah.
like laughing, laughing, crying about it. But I would have definitely wanted to see more like why is he called the Smashing Machine? I want to see him
Yeah.
smashing people and actually gaining his reputation instead of focusing on the final fights of, I guess, his career.
And it wasn't even that well, so yeah, I agree, but like he literally was like they showed us one fight of him winning, and what we were saying earlier is
Yeah,
that like they did say like this guy is like dominating, and they only showed us fights of him losing, which
yeah,
again I think that was like a choice to try to show his development into like being okay with losing. But I would, have also liked to see those. And then I thought at first that these were his last fights. So I said, okay, I see why they're focusing on that. He fought for years after this. So it's just like
hmm,
we caught him. You didn't show us his prime. You didn't show us his finale. You didn't show us
yeah,
his beginning. You literally showed us some random moments, like the start of his decline, for lack of better words. And I just
yeah,
think that that's weird and a choice that doesn't make sense to me. I think I would have rather you give me a broader point of his whole story or pick a different point of his career to focus on. They never gave me context as to why those years were so important. It seemed very random that they picked the years they did to focus on. I'm sure somebody who's
hmm,
into MMA more might have like an understanding of why that was so crucial. But to me, I'm like, I
probably,
don't know why you covered those years of his life. And
yeah,
so I think for those reasons of not understanding that, I do have to give it an infraction
yeah.
because
Because I
it didn't
think,
make sense. But it was a good movie. I was
yeah,
entertained and I was happy to watch it. And so I thought the acting was done well. And for what I got, I was happy with. I just was like, I think you should have gave me more or something different.
so I feel like we probably would have been more emotionally attached to his losses if we had seen all
Yeah,
of
because it
his
was just
wins
kind
coming
of.
up. In my opinion, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, I think that's
Yeah.
kind
And
of
I
what
don't
I
know.
think too. It's just like it felt like I'm not attached to this character and what he goes through. I mean, it's just sad, like some parts of it and stuff, but I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm really rooting for you to win. I don't know. I wasn't fully attached to him at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wasn't rooting for him to win. I think the only part where I felt like so moved, there were two parts. The one where he first lost, I thought that was great, but I think that would have hit even harder had they let us see him winning the whole time. And when he's in the locker room and he breaks down, I felt like I was
yeah,
intruding, really. So I thought that was really great. And then the other time was when he was in the hospital and you could see him literally lying to his friend, and his friend
yeah,
knows, and they both know. And eventually, Mark Coleman is just like, hey, bud, stop. And he breaks
yeah.
down.
He breaks down.
I don't know. I thought that was a very good depiction of, again, something that an addict would go through. But You guys, why stop there? That was such a good, like,
It was.
I don't know, it was great and real, and it's like, why did we only get that deep once, you know? So, I
Yeah,
don't know, infraction, I don't
you're
know.
definitely right. Infraction, gotta leave it there. But I feel like
2 infractions, one
it was
misdemeanor.
still a good movie. Yeah, at least it didn't get a
It was a
felony.
solid
So
movie, at least.
Yeah.
We're almost back in sync though.
Yeah, I know, because
yeah.
we were all over the place. We've been off this season. Nobody's been on the same page, but we're kind of getting back into our groove. We're really excited. Next week, we're going to be reviewing Monster, the Ed Gein story. It's a
It's
lot, you guys.
it's spooky for Halloween. It's disturbing. It's not
It,
spooky.
Ooh.
the box officers can handle it, and we will be on the case. But we still want to hear your thoughts on the Smashing Machine. Please let us know in the comments what you think, how you felt about it. But otherwise, we will see you back here next Wednesday.
Y'all have a good week.